Marcia says she came by her property last week to show it to a prospective buyer. To her surprise, she says a family of 3 and their dog had moved in.
You got some nerve to not only break into my property and move your stuff in, but you brought your stinking dog, your wet, musty dog, to also inhabit this property that this individual has potentially put their blood, sweat, and tears into in order to rehab, fix up. And now you're coming in and you're just dirtying up the place in this format, including, once again, bringing a pet with you. Unbelievable. What's going on, folks? Eddie Carrington, mayor of Flux City. And I reviewed a video recently that highlighted some alleged squatters that took over this individual's home who was trying to sell this property, and a realtor came by with a potential buyer, and lo and behold, these squatters were already in this property, living in their property, saying that it was their home when in actuality it wasn't. But one of the things that I noticed in the video that we were reviewing was there was actually a scenario where they said this squatter was somebody from a previous, but one of the things that this squatter that was highlighted in the previous video was somebody who was previously highlighted in another video that talked about a homeowner's house getting broken into and this squatter trespassing on their property and the challenges that they were having to deal with regard to this squatter living in their home. So I want to check that out with you as well, because it's important to highlight these types of scenarios. If you're wanting to get into real estate, if you're wanting to rehab properties and possibly fix them up, sell them, or even if you're a homeowner who wants to eventually move out of your current property into another property and you leave your property vacant, these are the types of things that can occur. And it's important for us to be informed as owners and landlords that these types of horror stories exist. And so this is another story out in Chicago that we're going to dive into. So let's check it out.
This new case is being described by the homeowner as next-level squatting. She and her husband say the person inside is posing as the new owner with bogus mortgage documents. They are
Sounds familiar. So it sounds like this person has a scheme in place via the previous video that we highlighted. These groups of squatters, or these individuals of squatters, they create bogus mortgage documents in order to try their best at scaring off the police and making a claim that they have a right to be in this property.
demanding that laws be changed to protect property owners, and one state lawmaker is working to do just that.
Since Thursday, we have been fighting to get these people out of our property.
Standing in the rain, practically begging a stranger to move out of their home. Marcia and Carlton Lee never thought they'd be facing off with an alleged squatter.
Someone is in my house saying that they moved in a month ago. I am livid right now.
Marcia says she came by her property last week to show it to a prospective buyer. To her surprise, she says a family of 3 and their dog had moved in.
You got some nerve to not only break into my property and move your stuff in, but you brought your stinking dog, your wet, musty dog, to also inhabit this property that this individual has potentially put their blood, sweat, and tears into in order to rehab, fix up. And now you're coming in and you're just dirtying up the place in this format, including, once again, bringing a pet with you. Unbelievable.
I have a realtor standing on the sidewalk waiting to see this property. The buyer is across the street. He gets out, and I had to apologize and let them know, like, I can't show you this.
So this is the second time that this squatter breaks into a home that's for sale, and this is the second time the realtor, along with a potential buyer, is the one that catches them in the act. This is insane. This is insane.
She and her husband came back with police. They say a woman who identified herself as Stacy claimed that she bought the home back in February and was the new owner.
They even put up a concealed carry permit banner in their window. If you trespass on their property, they have a firearm and they're willing to use it. That is crazy. Imagine coming to your property and trying to gain access to a property you own by somebody that is trespassing, and they in turn threaten you with a firearm, telling you to get off of their premises. The entitlement of these folks is through the roof.
And they said, we've been here for a month. I said, no, you haven't. I just showed this property 2 days ago.
They say the woman showed them this mortgage document.
Another fraudulent mortgage document that is being displayed, and this owner now needs to go do their own research and spend their own time and energy trying to prove these individuals wrong. What a crazy time. What a crazy scenario to have to deal with.
But after looking closely, Marcia says she noticed the property pin was inaccurate. The ABC 7i team did some digging and learned the pin matches a house in Country Club Hills, not this Southside property.
This documentation is not valid, so she's trespassing on my property.
But the couple says police still wouldn't remove them.
We need stronger rules and laws in place to give us as landlords and homeowners an opportunity to protect ourselves from this type of behavior. I can understand having some type of tenant protections from landlords that aren't good landlords. There are scenarios where landlords do tenants dirty, but in scenarios like this is a homeowner that has lost access to their own property, which should be equally as important to the lawmakers in comparison to the rights that tenants have in these different tenant-friendly cities.
Oh, you're both victims. We can't make her get out. They're laughing at me as they're telling me that this is a civil matter.
Illinois State Representative LaShawn Ford says he's working hard in Springfield to crack down on squatting.
It's happening across the state. Once they get in, the landlord has to go through what you call the forcible entry in order to evict them. That means that they have to go to court.
Due process. So get ready for a fight. Get ready to hire a lawyer. Get ready to potentially wait up to a year to get back access to your property. And all throughout that process, these individuals in this scenario, it's 3 people living in this house along with a dog. What are they doing to that property? How bad is that property going to be when you gain back access to this site? You just never know. These tenants are emboldened by the legal protections that they have, and they are entitled to a point where they, before leaving, might decide to damage your property even more. I said this in a previous video, but busting windows out, flushing concrete down the toilets, letting the water run. So when you do finally gain access to your property, you have water damage throughout the property, the furnace being turned off, and you in turn get your property back in the wintertime with your pipes are busted, dog feces everywhere and urine everywhere that you're going to have to clean up. All of these things are possible due to the fact that these individuals are allegedly squatting, trespassing, and ultimately are going to cause some type of damage on top of the financial damage that they're doing to you and this property. It just turns into a nightmare for homeowners.
Under Ford's proposed law, police would have the power to remove a squatter from the property the moment the rightful owner can prove it's their home, bypassing the months-long eviction process. It's legislation this couple calls common sense.
Like, I really think it's a joke.
Representative Ford met the couple at their property and knocked on the door, hoping to speak with the woman inside. No one would come out to speak with us. The couple says they are at their wits' end, but one thing they won't be doing is paying the people to leave.
The first thing that they asked my husband when we walked up to the door with the police that first night was, are you going to give us our $8,000 back?
That sounds eerily familiar with the previous video that we reviewed. So they actually asked that homeowner for $8,000 as well. And so this is a scheme. This is fraud. And they are being protected by the law, by tenant rights. And things like this need to be stopped. So they're just going to continuously go through a process of finding properties that are for sale and empty, break into these properties, move in, and demand cash from the homeowner in order for them to move back out. Wow, that is insane. And that's something that we need to stop.
I spent $150,000 to rehab this property to let somebody else come in this property and tear my property up and tell me it's theirs. Yeah, I'm upset.
$150,000 in rehab cost out of her pocket, and she's needing to potentially get some of that money back, right? Maybe that's her strategy, her and her husband's strategy, where she goes and they purchase these properties, they rehab them, and they put them on the market to hopefully gain back their investment and also some of the profit that they're hoping to get. But things like this are nightmare scenarios, because now their opportunity to get back whole again is frozen, and it's in limbo, because these alleged squatters and trespassers are not allowing for them to be able to show their property and ultimately sell it to a potential buyer. And so, man, this is really unfortunate.
Representative Ford says his proposed bill is being reviewed in the Rules Committee, but he says he has gotten pushback from homeless advocates who fear this would increase homelessness in Illinois.
Wow. So you're getting pushback for what we as landlords and homeowners feel is more or less common sense. Things like this will only allow and embolden criminals, such as what we're seeing here in this video. It gives them the opportunity to continue this criminal activity. And as of right now, they're entitled. They feel like they can do this and not run into any type of repercussion. The good news is, via the video that I shared previously regarding the squatters in Chicago, they actually stated that the homeowners here were able to gain back access to their property, and the squatters and trespassers were charged with trespassing, amongst other things, to a point where it looks like they were able to have a small win, which is uncommon due to the types of protections these tenants typically have in these different tenant-friendly cities. So kudos to them for getting their property back. And thanks for listening to me ramble once again. I would love to know what your thoughts are about what's happening here. If you're a landlord or homeowner, and if you've ever experienced scenarios such as this, let me know in the comments below. And I'll see you in the next video. Talk to you soon.